Sunday, you're going to preach every verse?
I did. We're doing verse 22. And welcome back to Pastor Plek's podcast. I'm your host, Pastor Plek, and so excited to have Dave Sheffield with me. He is the finance chair of Wells Branch Community Church and is leading Financial Peace University at our church that starts tonight, Dave.
That's right.
So, hey, if you're watching right now, you need to sign up. Hey, Nicole, can you put a link for people to sign up somewhere? Yeah, on the live stream. Yeah, there we go. All right, so Dave, welcome. This is welcome to live stream.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, so we had a question come up from this past Sunday as we were advocating for Financial Peace University, and a person sent in an article that said, hey, this is just one of several articles and podcasts that talks about Ramsey's lack of ethics. What are your thoughts about indirectly supporting him through offering FPU or Financial Peace University? And the article talks about how a group of people sued Dave Ramsey for a total of about $150 million because he endorsed an timeshare exit company.
Yeah.
And this company apparently couldn't deliver on what they promised. And so these people lost out on a lot of money. And so they're suing Dave for $150 million. So Dave Sheffield, can you clarify the church's role in offering FPU? Do we get paid by Dave Ramsey to do this? Is Dave is Dave Ramsey on our payroll? Or are we on his?
Yeah. No one gets paid by Dave Ramsey, but lots of people paid Dave Ramsey.
That's right. Yeah.
No, it's going neither direction in this case. So we offer the course and we have volunteer leaders like myself, but it's up to the participants to sign up for the class and they pay Ramsey directly.
Yeah, so it's not like we're a conduit for Ramsey.
Yeah, and he's certainly not paying us to offer the class.
Like we thought of it all by ourselves.
Exactly. So there is a distinction there, but it's still a fair question, right?
Yeah.
Are we, by endorsing the class, hosting the class, are we supporting Ramsey indirectly?
Right. So the question would be, is the current class action lawsuit regarding this timeshare exit team, is that a reason not to offer the class? And honestly, I just heard of this Sunday, and I was like, and we're offering the class Tuesday. I was like, Dave, are we okay? So Dave, what do you think?
It's definitely a sticky issue. So yeah, some more details as I understand it. I don't have any more insight than you could Google for yourself. But it sounds like, so Ramsey recommends a lot of people services companies.
And they do pay him too.
Yes, and they do pay him for that. In this case, I think I read they've paid him $30 million over the last 8 years or something like that for him to endorse them.
Right.
Ramsey's side of the story is people getting stuck in timeshares is a very pervasive problem with people that he's tried to help. And so he had been looking for a company that could help people get out of those timeshare agreements. And he thought he found one in the timeshare exit team. And they went for a number of years, and I guess they did help a number of people. But yeah, I think you could characterize it right. There were enough people that they could not help that they basically went bankrupt.
And it's not like one person suing for one. It's like this is kind of where you get a whole bunch of people together, and it's a class action lawsuit where you get a whole bunch of people and we all go as one to go against Ramsey on this one thing.
Right. So Ramsey had no part in running the company or anything like that. They're suing him based on the fact that he's a trusted figure and he had endorsed this company, and then the company let them down.
It seemed, man, that seems like a little bit over the top. Like here's a guy who had nothing to do with this company other than they said, hey, you should use these guys, and it was a recommendation. I mean, do you not think that's just a little bit too far?
Yeah, I do. But I mean, he was paid for it, paid a lot of money for it. So they say, hey, if you're getting, the allegation is if you're getting paid this much money to recommend a company, then you should know what's going on with that company.
Right.
So it's the whole idea he should have known, and it comes down to, what did he know and when did he know it and all those things that you and I can't really know.
Yeah. This is where, and maybe this is just where I'm, since I am a multi-billion-dollar pastor, no, like I just think of like athletes, right? That they go and they promote McDonald's or they promote Nike or whatever. I mean, they're just wearing a shoe or promoting. And I guess what you're saying is like, since this guy's role is a financial advising type person, so he's sort of more culpable to know the financial things of the places that he endorses. Okay. But what about the other lawsuits against Ramsey? I mean, let's just call this was a one-off. He recommended a timeshare thing and it went belly up or didn't help people. But there's some other things, like he went from like the best place to work in Nashville to like not. Like there are people been very upset and other lawsuits have come against Ramsey over like working conditions being unfavorable. Any thoughts about that, of what you were able to investigate or find?
Well, yeah, and all my deep research since yesterday, or whenever you brought this to my attention. Again, I spent a lot of time with the Ramsey organization. I've been trained in the coaching as well as the FPU, led FPU so many times, but I have no insight into what it's like working for Ramsey.
Right.
Never been in that role. But so what I read, the first one I came across was all of the COVID-related complaints.
Yeah.
So Ramsey was very much no masks, no vaccines, come into the office, all of those things. And there, as you might imagine, there was pushback.
Shock. What? Man, I really thought everyone just got on the same page on COVID. Oh, man.
So that one, I don't know how, and there was at least one lawsuit related to that. I don't see how. There was no right answer during that period of time. You and I went through that.
Oh,
I was still on the elder board then when we were trying to figure out what to do as a church.
What a nightmare that was.
No right answer. So
the only thing you knew is you could be wrong.
Yeah. It's hard to fault him for that. He had an opinion, and he went with it. The others, everything I found seemed to center around his moral code of conduct that he has employees sign when they join the company. So this includes what you see the most common is this, sexual ethics. So he says biblical sexuality is all that they allow. So any sex outside of marriage is grounds for termination at the company. So very, very different than any other company I know to have such a thing. I think, everyone who has brought up these lawsuits did sign the agreement, but they're not, I don't think they can complain about being terminated when what they did was grounds for termination.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I can read, the articles that I read, it's more about Ramsey was not treating everyone the same when they were violating the code of conduct. So that, again, this is there's allegations and there's denials, and I honestly don't know how to get to the truth in those things.
So what, okay, hold on. So what about, this is the part where what about all the money that Dave Ramsey has made? Do you think he's charging too much? Like, just, as long as we're smearing this guy ethically, let's just go all the way. Is he making too much money to do what he's doing and in this helping people?
Yeah, I mean, you could ask that probably any successful businessman you'd have the same question. But this is, of all the years I've led Financial Peace, this is a very frequently asked question.
Yeah.
People say, because, it used to be charged upwards of $130, $140 for the course. That was when you got the really nice box set to go with it, so you felt better when you bought something. Now, you don't get anything. It's all digital. Yep. The price has dropped to $80 at least now. But, is it worth it? Well, so Ramsey's been doing this, pretty much the same material for 30 years or something like that. And it started, I think, as a 26-week course that he charged $500 for, and now we're down to a 9-week course that he charges $80 for. Millions of people have paid it. Millions of people testify that it has improved their life.
Yeah.
And that's one thing I'll say is all the courses that I've taught, I've never had anyone get to the end of the course and say, yeah, that wasn't really worth it.
Right.
The dollar amount just in the financial advice that you'll get in the class, you could just pick one piece that would easily pay for the price of the course.
And I feel like this is like, don't muzzle the ox while he's treading out the grain. I mean, he just happened to make a tool that millions of people use, and so therefore you make millions of dollars. And so I don't have any problem with that. But what about people who are like, they're like thumbs down? Is there any part, how about this? Dave, is there any part about Dave Ramsey's techniques? I don't know if it's cutting up the credit cards or if it's like never ever getting into debt or whatever the different pieces is. What for you is not is there anything about his course that you're like not 100% agreement with?
Absolutely. So yeah, let me point out something about the course.
Yeah.
When the Kelsos and I signed up to lead the course, it's not like we had to sign something that said we would only follow, what's taught in the course.
Oh.
We have, we're not paid. We're not employees of Ramsey.
So you might get the best course ever. It's just a little tweaked.
Yeah, I mean, obviously we can't misrepresent what Ramsey says, and
Right.
we're not going to dog on Ramsey. We wouldn't be offering the course if we thought he was a terrible financial. I mean, he's been offering the same really basic financial advice all of these decades.
Right.
And we're not really changing that. But
Right.
yeah, I mean, you asked, is there anything? The first thing I would say is credit score. So Ramsey teaches that if you're doing everything right, the best thing is if you have no credit score. And personally, I've been there and I've done that. I had no credit score, and it's not the best way to live.
So what happened in that situation?
So yeah, by the time we had paid off our house and had no other debts, time goes by, and after a number of years, you have no credit history, and therefore you have no credit score. So things like the first time I got an iPhone, I walked into AT&T and said, "Hey, I want to get an iPhone," and they said, "Well, we got to do a credit check on you." And I said, "Oh, that's not going to go well." And it didn't. So
Did you bring a suitcase full of cash? Or?
I tried lots of things. I tried to say, "Would you like to see my paycheck? I promise I can afford this service." They didn't want to see my paycheck. But, they're just pushing buttons, right? And when they push the button, it comes back blank because I had no credit score. And it's just, I don't know, I did get the service. I just had to leave them like a $500 deposit that they held on to. Well, that's a pain.
Yeah.
And nowadays, when it comes to renting an apartment or getting insurance, all these different things
Run on credit.
They look at your credit score.
Right.
And so I got one credit card. I pay it off every month, and that's all we have. That's all our credit history. But that's enough to get our credit score up high enough that we don't run into any of these hurdles anymore. So to me, that's our solution. You can come up with another solution that doesn't have to be a credit card.
Right. Because Dave is like, cut them up.
Yeah, and I still think credit cards are like playing with fire. There's very definitely, many people should not have credit cards. But I think in our case, it was the easiest way to build a credit history.
Yeah.
And, it charges every month automatically, and it pays itself off every month automatically. So
nice.
I can't really screw it up. And it gave us what we needed. So it was the easiest tool for what we wanted.
Now that your kids are out of the house, do they have credit cards? This is like, sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot on this question.
This is a great question. We just had this conversation at dinner last night. I teach my kids that they do need to worry about their credit score.
Okay, good.
So yeah, Aaron, my oldest, has a card and has a really low balance, and he pays it off.
Oh, good for him.
So he has a credit score. And Caleb just got his first card very recently. That's what the dinner discussion was. Have you paid that off? He's like, well, they just now posted the balance. So
that's
I trust that he will.
Okay. In Jesus' name. All right. So let's talk about, why do you think it would be a good idea if somebody's watching, out there in internet land, and they're in the Wells Branch area, they can still sign up. Is that correct?
That is true.
So why would they need, or why would it benefit them to come to Financial Peace University?
Yeah, I mean, again, it seems crazy that Ramsey has made so much money on these basic financial concepts, but it's because so many people don't know these basic financial concepts. And maybe you have heard them, but you haven't, like you need to live on a budget. Everybody's probably heard that at some point.
Don't buy stuff you can't afford.
Don't buy stuff you can't afford. But, have you actually done it? Have you actually made a budget and tried to live on it for a number of months and realized all of the pitfalls of doing that and, got it to a point where it's sustainable?
Yeah.
This course can help you do that. If you have crippling debt and you're like, I don't even know where to start.
Right.
There's even controversy over Ramsey's debt snowball. That's the best way to do it. But I've seen it work, and it's really simple. And so, if you want to know where to start, come to the class, and you'll not only learn the practical how to do it, but you'll be strongly motivated to do it.
And Dave, you're not just a Financial Peace university like class teacher. You yourself are a financial. You help people. What's it, a financial coach?
Yeah.
So talk to me about that business, how you got into it, and why you're so passionate about it.
So it basically grew out of Financial Peace because when you're in a class, you can teach all these concepts, but inevitably there's something that is unique to your circumstances that you need some individual help on. The advice given in Financial Peace is pretty general, and so your circumstances might be a little different, might need to be tailored to in a special way. Or the class just isn't enough.
Right.
You need a little bit more to, whether it's accountability or hand-holding or whatever it is to get you through to get started on the plan, so to speak.
It's like a workout coach or anything. The accountability aspect is probably the biggest thing that people need.
Yeah, whether they realize it or not. They may think that what they need is head knowledge, but really they need someone that's going to hold them accountable to what they're doing.
So is in the future, is there like a Dave Sheffield Financial Tranquility University coming out? Like you will have your own and then make millions of dollars?
Ironically, it would look so much like Ramsey's. But I don't think I could, other than the credit score thing.
Yeah, it could be like, that's wildly new. You can have a credit score, and then we'll just bill it like that, sell it. Okay, yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, I feel like, listen, if you want to get involved with this, I mean, it's not like you're just going to have some person who did Dave Ramsey's Financial Peace University once. This is somebody, Dave and Craig have been teaching this for years, and they are gifted in sort of seeing, they're not going to be appalled by any of your financial statements. They've seen it all. And so you're not going to come up and be like, I'm the worst person ever. I have no financial ability. You are going to throw me out. That's not the case. Dave is willing and ready to work with anybody, right?
I'm way nicer than Dave Ramsey.
Way nicer. Dave Ramsey has a lot of sarcastic, snarky comments, and he throws some zingers out there. Dave is gentle and like very methodical and will move you through your finances in a really awesome way. Yeah. Yeah, that's my pitch for Dave. Where can we find Dave Sheffield's like financial coaching?
Financialcoachingatx.com.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, go to financialcoachingatx.com. Can we put that into the, I don't know if it's show notes or just right underneath the live stream. I want you to go check out Dave's website because I'll bet you if you're like, listen, I don't do classes with other people. I don't want anyone seeing anything that's going on, although that's not what would happen in the class. But if you want some personal attention from Dave, go to financialcoachingatx.com, and Dave would love to meet with you and kind of help walk you through your next steps toward Christ. Any other thoughts on this whole Dave Ramsey thing, like with ethical guys that have questionable ethics? Is it okay to use their stuff?
That's a huge question. I mean, we'd have to be asked, should we be shopping on Amazon or Nike or
exactly
Target, today's world? Even Christian Chicken Chick-fil-A is in the spotlight right now.
What'd they do? Gosh, I think
they hired a DEI guy or something like that.
Man.
Anyway, it is a tough decision at times, whether as an individual we're going to support an organization by, purchasing their merchandise or services, or as a church. Same question comes up. I mean, the whole idea of Romans 14 comes to mind.
That's what I just looked it up, pulled up Romans 14. That's where I go. And as for the one who's weak in faith, welcome him, but not to quarrel over opinions. One person believes he may eat anything, while the weak person eats only vegetables. And the reason why that was a big deal is that you'd have like Aphrodite's steakhouse where they would sacrifice meat to the goddess, and they might even be performing lewd sex acts while that was going on, and then they'd serve the meat to the general public, and that might have been the only place where you get meat. And so you were supporting the temple by eating meat at all. So the question is, if you are feeling convicted by that, then don't eat the meat. If you're like, that's not my deal, I'm not concerned about it, then eat the meat in freedom is essentially where he was going with that. And I think that applies to a lot of stuff, because I think you could probably find something wrong with just about every company, every ministry. If you want to look hard enough, you're going to find it. And I think that's where the freedom in Christ comes. Now, that doesn't relieve, I think, them of responsibility. But still, and that doesn't mean I'm going to go shop at Target. But what that does mean is that I think there's a freedom there to experience life in freedom, as opposed to just making sure that, am I sinning right now by eating this meat? That was whatever. Any other thoughts on that?
if you are convicted of this, don't take the
Yeah.
course. Crown Financial Ministries has a course.
Yep.
It's not as engaging dynamic as Ramsey's, in my opinion, but the financial, biblical financial principles are
Right.
all solid.
Yeah. Well, that's huge. Yeah, because I think Dave Ramsey makes it fun, and usually people who are fun are not always like prim and proper. And I think that there's so many things out there right now that, it's like kind of getting the conservatives should boycott, Target, Bud Light, name all the things. And so I think you need to be as the Lord convicts you, walk in that, but don't be judging people who are walking in freedom is, I think, usually where that goes, especially in Pride Month. This makes it even more challenging. It's just like everywhere you go, you're like surrounded by rainbows. Anyway, that's for another show for another time. So, hey, thanks, Dave, for joining us on this show today. And thank you so much for watching. Please leave your comments in the live stream. Let us know where you're watching for. We'd love to hear from you. And tell us how you love live streaming Pastor Plek's podcast in your lunch hour. We're here for you. So from our house to yours, have an awesome week of worship.